Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about some classic Doctor Who, and my question is, what are some Doctor Who stories that deserve a second chance? Maybe a Doctor Who story that just didn't do anything for you the first time, and then maybe it's a story you need to give another chance, or you can talk about a story you did get a second chance and like better. That's kind of both ways we can look at this. You can look at a story that was better on a second or third viewing, or a story that you don't think much of, you've only watched the one time, that maybe deserves a second chance. So I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to talk about maybe a story in some cases where it took multiple viewings to get me interested, and then also I'm going to talk about stories that I think, hey, if you didn't like this story, give it another chance, because it's better to me than obviously it is to you. For the first Doctor, I want to talk about the arc. I like the arc. Now, it's not that I hear people talk badly about the arc a lot. I don't really hear people talk about the arc a lot. It's just kind of one of those stories that doesn't come up in conversation like a lot of other First Doctor stories do. It's just kind of there. It's not really in conversation. And I like the arc. It was the first Doctor story I ever owned. I enjoy it. I think it's got a wonderful twist. And the twist doesn't come like at the end of the story. It comes literally halfway through the story, like right at the end of part 2, has a phenomenally good cliffhanger. And instead of acting like a 4-parter, it almost feels like two 2-parters. Like you really could have gotten a story in between episode 2 and 3. Like you could have had episode 1, episode 2, that wonderful cliffhanger for episode 2. You could have had another story in between them, just like having Mythmakers between Mission to the Unknown and Dalek's Master Plan. And then you could have came back after that with episodes 3 and 4 and had them basically be a sequel story. It would have worked if they had done it like that. I like the creature effects of the metalloids, the mongoloids, whatever it is they're called, with the eyeball. I like their design. Their creature design is nice. I like the set design for the ship. I enjoy the first half of the story and the second half of the story. I like when they get to the planet they're heading to. It really goes in unexpected directions. And I really think there's some important lessons in this story. Matter of fact, some of the themes of this story kind of reminds me a bit of Capaldi's speech in the Zygon inversion. You know, who's going to stop, who's going to, stop your revolution from whatever he says. What's going to keep your revolution going from the next one? I forget what he says. But it's a great speech. And this ties into that, the dangers of subjugating another race. Slavery, basically. The dangers of that and how that can just lead to a cycle of hatred. If you really look under the episode and look at the themes of the episode, they're actually really impressive. And I say, if you've never seen this story, or if you've only seen it the one time and for some reason it didn't click with you, I'd say give it a watch. It's really good. For the second Doctor, the Crotons. I like the Crotons a lot. The Crotons is a 4-parter that knows it only needs to be a 4-parter. It's Bob Holmes, the greatest writer Doctor Who ever had. And the Crotons themselves, from the waist up, look phenomenal. Yeah, from the waist down, they're a little naffed, let's be honest. Classic Doctor Who budget. But I think from the waist up, they got a great design. I like the spinning diamond heads. The voices are good. I enjoy the story. I think you got a couple good cliffhangers in there, especially the one where the Doctor gets buried. You have that lovely interaction between the Doctor and Zoe, which almost feels parental. And if not parental, more like a kooky uncle. When he's like, what's this button do? No, wait, I know. Come back. No, go away. That whole little bit when he's wearing the machine and calling her back and making her go. It's played so wonderful by Zoe, or by Wendy, and by Patrick. And I like how she's like, press the button. She's like, push the button. It's my favorite moment between those two. And they have plenty of good moments together. I just feel like the Crotons doesn't have a very good reputation, and I feel like it's selling the story short. I feel like it's either from people who haven't seen it in a long time, or people who just have that opinion of it because the internet says so. It must not be that great because I saw that on the internet. Because the internet always gets things right, doesn't it? So I just feel like if you haven't watched it in a while, or if you've never seen it, give it a shot and make up your mind for yourself. Because I feel like it's a very underappreciated story. I'm not saying it's top tier Doctor Who or essential Doctor Who, but I feel like It's better than the credit it gets. Next on the list, there are several of them that pop up in mind for the third Doctor story that I feel like deserve a second watch through if you've only seen them once. The Time Monster, Colony in Space. I feel like both of these stories are underappreciated. But the one I'm going to talk about today is The Mutants. Maybe it's because I'm fresh off a rewatch of it. I do not understand why The Mutants has a not-so-good reputation. Some of the special effects are naffed. I will admit that. The story needs updated effects, and it didn't get them. Mainly because most of the money probably went to the restoration of the episodes. Because 15 of the 26 episodes are not from the original Masters. Only 11 episodes of the original Masters from that season. And that was the right choice to make sure the episodes looked as good as possible. And it's impressive how good they look. Especially The Mutants, the first 2 episodes are from other sources. The last 4 episodes of the original Masters. And I don't understand why this one's not more popular, because I feel like the story is really good. I feel like it fills out its 6 parts well. I like how it deals with racism and classism and elitism. I feel like it gets its point across on the dangers of those without beating you over the head with it. I think The Mutants knows its audience is smart enough to figure this out. It doesn't have to browbeat it into you or just flat out tell you, so what we're doing is, like, maybe some of the newer episodes of Doctor Who. Not to throw shade at that. I think Dot and Bubble also handles those themes very, very well. Matter of fact, maybe even better. But I feel like The Mutants handles what it's trying to say in its social commentary extremely well. And I feel like a lot of people forget that or don't talk about that. It's also well cast. The guy playing the Marshal's great. The guy playing Kai is great. Biggs himself. The guy, Jeffrey, of course, playing the administrator is really good, even though he's only in the first episode. You understand what makes that character tick. I have a better understanding of what makes the administrator tick in that one episode of The Mutants he's in than I did of the 13th Doctor in her entire first season. Because Jeffrey plays that role so well, and the role was written so well. Now, there are a couple little kooky parts at the end, like the other administrator letting the Marshal take charge of his men and then having them locked all away. That is a little plot convenient because the plot needs to happen and we're wrapping things up. But I think the set design looks good. The location work looks good. Again, some of the effects are naff, but the story's solid. I don't understand. I do not understand why this story doesn't have a better reputation. Also, I think the costume designs for the creatures look really good. And I will admit the special effect for Kai at the end is actually pretty impressive. Especially for the time that they managed to pull that off. I would say rewatch The Mutants. Rewatch The Mutants and The Time Monster. And Colony in Space if you haven't seen them in a while. Give them another shot. For the 4th Doctor, I don't know what I wrote for that second one. But for the 4th Doctor, I would say Underworld. Underworld has a bad reputation for, well, mainly one reason. The bad CSO in the Ks. That's mostly it. I would agree that maybe some people are criticizing the story, and the story is certainly not an S-tier story, but it's not a bad story. It's basically Jason and the Argonauts. It's fine. It definitely has its issues, but it's a solid B-tier, C-tier story. It's not like a crappy story. And there's plenty of stories in Doctor Who where it's just a B-tier, a C-tier story, and it's considered a B-tier, or C-tier adventure. Its reputation is B-tier or C-tier, which is fair. I feel like Underworld's story is better than its reputation. And I feel like the only reason it has its reputation is bad special effects, which is wrong, as I have stated so many times before. Underworld does not have bad special effects. It has the bad CSO in the caves. But if you look at the bookending episodes, episode 1 and 4, the model work is some of the best model work in all of classic Doctor Who, and even holds up better than some of the space shots in early modern Doctor Who, to be honest with you. some of the camera work and the model work and what happens in those scenes, like I love when the ship breaks out of the planet and you see the steam coming off of it as it goes by. Very dynamic shots. Really impressive considering Star Wars had just come out, and they seemed like they wanted to kind of do the best they could to match that with a Doctor Who budget. And I am always impressed by the model work in episodes 1 and 4, and I feel like over and over and over and over again that never gets acknowledged from this story. And it really irritates me that this story is never given credit for its model work. Because I feel like most of the people who complain about Underworld, if they've seen Underworld, it's not in a long time. It's another one of those stories, well, the internet says it's not very good. Or it's people who haven't seen it since 1978. Or they haven't seen it in 20 years, or whatever. Go back and rewatch Underworld. Pay attention to the story and look at the model work. Is the CSO bad? Yes. It's primitive blue screen. But keep in mind, they were pioneering that technology just to make the episode work. You know, when you're doing a new type of technology like that on a Doctor Who budget, probably not going to age the best. And yes, the CSO looks rough, especially in episode 3. I'm not going to hold that against the story. When I enjoy the story, solid C, B-tier story, and I love the model effects from the other episodes. Plus, I like the casting. I like the kind of Argonaut characters. The Quest is the Quest. I love that. The Quest is the Quest. I like those characters. The actors playing them are doing a good job with the characters. I feel like Tom Baker is putting in a good performance. I feel like Leela is putting in a good performance. I feel like it's cast really well. Again, the story is certainly not foolproof. It has its issues. The trope of it just being a computer gone crazy is a little tropey, but probably even by 1978. Hell, the original Star Trek did that 3 or 4 times. So it is kind of, it's just a power mad computer. Okay. And the Doctor even kind of points that out in its speech. It's like, you're just a power mad computer, or whatever it is he says. Although the computer's voice is pretty cool. I do actually like the computer's voice. That's done really well. So I feel like the set designs are not the best in the world. They're not the worst in the world. Some of the sets work better than others. I actually like the bridge being multiple levels with the blast shield. That's pretty neat. Some of the sets are a little unimpressive. But I feel like, considering this is when the record inflation for the UK hit, and this story is just a victim of that, I feel like knowing that, they did the best they could with it. And I feel like it's a story that deserves a little more attention because of that. Oh, another one I want to talk about is the Armageddon Factor. I feel like the Armageddon Factor is better than the reputation it gets. It has its problems, and the guy playing the Shadow is a little over the top, and there's a couple other characters that are a little over the top. And yes, it does probably need some updated effects. But I find it enjoyable. I think it wraps up its season well. It's certainly a better season finale than the Reality War, than Empire of Death, than the Battle of whatever. I mean, even if you don't like the Armageddon Factor, I'm sure a lot of you would admit that the Armageddon Factor ends its season a lot better than what we've had the past few years ending its season. So the Armageddon Factor, while not exactly being, like Evil of the Daleks or the Daemons or the Talons of Wing Chang or Seeds of Doom level of good, it's not. It's still fine. It's fine. Again, B tier for me, maybe. I'd say C tier at a stretch, but I would probably put it in B tier, which is fine. Slightly above average. Fine by that. It holds up well. It's fine at 6 parts. Give it some updated effects. Go back in time and tell the guy who's playing the Shadow, okay, just pull it back a bit. Pull it back a bit. And I think you have a pretty solid story there. For the 5th Doctor, first I'll talk about one that has gotten a little better on rewatch for me, and that is Kenda. I'm still not a huge fan of Kenda, but I will admit that the second half of Kenda is much better than the first half, because I used to just adamantly hate Kenda. I'm still not a big fan of it. Parts 1 and 2 are still pretty crappy, especially part 1. Still pretty crappy, and the 5th Doctor acts like a complete moron in it. Anytime the old blind woman is calling him idiot, I'm like, But parts 3 and 4 do get better. It does become more enjoyable. I like the guest cast. The guy playing the kind of crazy guy is good. The kind of woman doctor in it, she's really good. I like Tegan as the Mara a lot, and I really wish we'd gotten more of her as the Mara. So I'm glad we have Snake Dance, which I like a lot better, because Janet's just great playing that role. Although the lipstick on the teeth thing's a little weird. But I feel like the second half of the story is more enjoyable and makes the story, while still not good, tolerable. And then one I would talk about is Fort of Doomsday. I feel like Fort of Doomsday is an interesting one. That seems to be one that gets very mixed opinions. Like, some people like it, some people don't. I'm one of those that do. I really like Fort of Doomsday. It's one of my favorite Fifth Doctor stories. Completely studio bound. I think the effects for the most part work. Maybe right there at the end when he's floating in space, it looks a little classic Doctor Who-y. But other than that, I think it works pretty well. I like the guest cast. I like the main cast. Also, some of the dance numbers in it go on a little too long. It does get a little tedious. I like the fact we get to see the Fifth Doctor using the sonic sum since he doesn't have it very long. And I think it has a good resolution at the end. And the guy playing the main antagonist, I really like him a lot. So it's just a very enjoyable story that I feel like just doesn't get enough attention. I'd say if you haven't watched Fort of Doomsday in a while, go back and give it another shot. I actually put it over Earthshock myself. Next on the list, one that I'm not saying it's good. I am saying it's better than its reputation. Which, again, is not saying it's good. But it's not the dumpster fire some people think it is. There's plenty of modern Doctor Who episodes that have it beat, that it has beat. That is the Twin Dilemma. Now, is the Twin Dilemma a good story? No. No. It is D or E tier. It's below average by far. But it has some redeeming qualities I like about it. I like the story. The broad strokes of the actual story I like. I like the actor who plays the other Time Lord in it. He's doing a really good job. And I really like the makeup on the creature, the kind of snail creature. I think that costume looks really good. It's not a good story. The twins performing is bad. The way the Doctor's written in it is bad. And Colin Baker is so over the top in it. And the way he treats Perry is bad. Strangling Perry is bad. There's a lot of bad in this story. But I feel like if you haven't watched it a long time, give it a rewatch. Look at it through a fresh set of eyes. And, you might find a couple redeeming things in it. That's how I am. I don't think it's straight up garbage tier. I'll put it above Empire of Death, Reality War, Arachnids in the UK, The Caretaker, Kill the Moon, Oxygen, and several modern Doctor Who episodes any day of the week. It even beats out a couple episodes of classic Doctor Who. I'll put Twin Dilemma over Delta and the Bannerman any day as well. And then the other one I want to talk about is Time Lash. Especially if you haven't had a chance to watch it on the Season 22 box set with the updated effects. The updated effects do help the story. One of the biggest problems with Time Lash is it's just one of those classic Who stories where the budget's not there. Like, the effects are just either uninteresting or bad. Some of them aren't necessarily bad, they're just uninteresting. Like the Time Lash when it's operating and it's just that little tinsel with the flashing lights, just uninteresting to look at. The bit when the Doctor's in the Time Lash just looks cheap and goes on too long. With the updated effects, it fixes a lot of that, although that time he spends in the Time Lash still goes on too long. You could literally cut that in half at the very least. Really, you can cut it into about a third and it'll work a lot better. But the updated effects help it. Plus, I love Paul Darrow's performance. I love Paul Darrow's performance. It's like Soul Deed in Horns of Nimon, which I also like. If you're looking for a Doctor Who story that's just silly, campy fun, and you've already rewatched Horns of Nimon recently, Time Lash is a good choice. It's fun, it's silly. You're not expecting Genesis of the Daleks or the Caves of Androzani or City of Death out of it. You know what you're getting yourself into. Maybe you're a Paul Darrow fan and you just love how he plays the role. There's plenty to like here. The makeup for the Borad. I think even most of you would agree that the makeup for the Borad's very impressive, especially for classic Doctor Who standards. Very well done. Very well done. And then I like, was it Herbert in it? Herbert. And the revelation about Herbert. I like him as a character. The actor playing him is really good. And then I like the revelation about him at the end. That's wonderful. It has some silliness in it. Again, the creature that shoots the missile at the end that looks kind of like a steak thing, that's not a good effect. The Borad somehow showing up at the end even though he'd already died just feels tacked on to stretch out the runtime. And doesn't really need to be there. The whole bit with the missile and a lot of the ending just feels tacked on, I'll admit. But it's fun. Again, if you're just looking for that maybe C tier level or even just a fun D tier level story, Time Lash is better than its reputation. And if you're looking for just a good time. And it's fun for Paul Darrow alone. And again, give the updated effects a shot. There's a nice Easter egg that harkens back to Tom Baker's intro in there that I really like. Next on the list is the 7th Doctor, of course. Now, the one for me is Greatest Show in the Galaxy, because I used to just adamantly hate Greatest Show in the Galaxy. The first time I watched it, it did not impress me at all. Rewatches have made me realize that much like Kenda, it's the first parts that I really hate. Like episode 1 of the Greatest Show in the Galaxy just pisses me off, because it's bad. I mean, there are some great things in it. The head clown is always good. What's his name? Ian? I think his name is Ian. He is really good. The guy playing the head clown, all the props. The guy who's playing the Master of Ceremonies, I guess, he's good. Although every time he starts rapping, I'm like, oh. But other than that, I like him. He's good. The kid that's supposed to represent the fans in the show, I could have done without. I mean, I get what they were doing, but it doesn't need to be there. The guy on the motorcycle's a little much. T.P. McKenna's character is a little grating. I like T.P. McKenna. I liked him more in Blake 7 when he showed up, but his character in this is a little irksome. That's more the writing than the performing. I think T.P. McKenna's doing the best with what he can. Although, when he comes back to life at the end, I like him a little bit, especially that part, like, I thought you were dead. I am. I like the way he does that line. But the story gets progressively better. I'd say by episode 3 I'm enjoying it, and I really like episode 4. I think episode 4 is really good, and you guys know that I'm a really big fan of a story that can stick the landing. And this story does stick that landing. Episode 4 is great. With the original effects or with the updated effects on the box set, it looks good regardless. It didn't really need updated effects, but the updated effects look good. I also like the girl playing the werewolf girl. She's really good. I like her a lot. Her transformation scene is pretty nice. I like the fact she's the one that kills T.P. McKenna's character. That's fitting. You can kind of see it coming too. Like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But yeah, the first half is not as good, but the second half is much better. Each episode just gets progressively better. So I'm glad I watched it again. I think another one that I would recommend is Time in the Ronnie. I feel like Time in the Ronnie's another one much like Time Lash, where if you go in and just have fun with it, it's actually a really fun story. I mean, Kato Mara is always a joy to watch in the Ronnie, whether it's Dimensions in Time, Time in the Ronnie, or Mark of the Ronnie, which Mark of the Ronnie is my favorite Colin story, at least televised story. And Kato Mara just always looks like she's having a ball. She looks like she's having fun. You know, she's been away doing Dynasty. She's tired of that. She wants to have some fun. Stick her in a quarry. I think she even said that one time. You know, bring me back and stick me in a quarry. And she looks like she's having the time of her life. It's also, when you know the behind the scenes of this story, it's impressive it came out as well as it did. This story went through a lot to get made. A lot of changes, including doctors. The fact they're having to do the regeneration without Colin. I like the fact we see McCoy running around in Colin's outfit for a bit. I like the way McCoy is playing the character here. I always like the way McCoy is playing the character, except for when he goes in that fake voice occasion. Other than that, I always love what he's doing with the character. I like the Tetraps, and their costume design looks really good. The Lacurtians have really good makeup. And I like the actual plot of the story. I also like the Ronnie kind of getting her comeuppance at the end. I'm not saying it's Genesis of the Daleks or Pyramids of Mars, but I'm saying it is a good time and a lot of fun. And I feel like it just doesn't quite get... You know, I feel like it's better in its reputation. But that, although to be fair, that's season 24 as a whole. Season 24 gets is quite possibly the most underrated classic Doctor Who season. I'm not saying it's as good as season 25 and 26, but aside from Delta and the Bannermen, which is not good, but does have some good things in it, there are some redeeming things about Delta and the Bannermen. But I feel like Time and the Ronnie is underappreciated, and I feel like Paradise Towers and Dragonfire are really good stories. I feel like Paradise Towers would have a better reputation if it was in season 25. It reminds me a lot of Happiness Patrol in some ways. I feel like if it was in season 25, it would have a better reputation. Even though I think it's the best story of season 24. And I think Dragonfire is really good. Great introduction to Ace. And then for the 8th Doctor, the TV movie. I feel like the TV movie is better. If you've only watched the TV movie once, give it another shot. I mean, it's good. It's unique. There's no other piece of Doctor Who that looks like the TV movie. There's no other piece of Doctor Who that flows like the TV movie. McGann is great. I think that is pretty universally agreed on, that the best thing about the TV movie is Paul McGann, and that he is a good Doctor in it. He is fantastic. He has such a nice charm and charisma to him. Although I think Sylvester McCoy is good in this story. What little bit we get of Sylvester McCoy, he's putting in a good performance. I like his performance in the role. A lot of it's what he's having to do with just a little bit of dialogue he's given, and a lot of it's what he's having to do with his facial expressions and his body language, his reactions. The reactions shots you get of him when he's in the TARDIS and things are going wrong are great. And then even in the hospital, when he wakes up briefly before they put him to sleep again, what he's doing with his face and his dialogue there is very good. The little bit of time we get with Sylvester McCoy, he's really good in this movie. Plus, I like the way he does his hair in the movie and his outfit. I really like his TV movie outfit. I think Eric Roberts is a really good master. I've talked about this more in depth before, so I'm not going to go into details on it, but I feel like his portrayal of the character is more nuanced than most people catch on to, especially considering he's an alien possessing a different body the way he is, and he's having to learn how to use it. I actually feel like it's a good performance. I like Grace as a companion. I think Daphne puts in a good performance. I'm not a big fan of Lee in it. I actually think the actor playing him, I like his portrayal, I think, better in the real-time animation, because he's also in that. I'm not a big fan of it there, but he has a few moments, too, like, you kill me. You want me to kill you? No, it's just... that is pretty funny. And then I love the cinematography of it. Again, I think it looks great. It has a wonderful soundtrack. And the TARDIS interior is fantastic. This is arguably one of the best TARDIS interiors we've ever had. And of all the TARDISes, this is the one that makes it look like a home. Like he actually lives there. Like I love all the clocks and everything. I think this is the first TARDIS that had a column going all the way to the ceiling. Very good TARDIS interior. Looks like they spared no expense. So I feel like the TV movie deserves a second chance if you've only seen it the one time. So that's my list of stories that I think deserve a second chance and that you might appreciate more on a second viewing. I want to know what you think and stories you would recommend. Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to check that out. My mind really just went blank there. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review, a link to my Amazon wish list is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wish list is down there as well. I also want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Sam Venning, Finn Perkins, and Unknown289. I appreciate their support as I do the support of all of my patrons. Most importantly, thank you for watching.